Welcome to this here thriving moment brought to you by the Sovereign Light Radio Broadcast Anchor FM and made also available on 6 other different platform distributions live from North York, Ontario, Canada. I am your hostess, Reverend Maria Arvanites, and with us here today is a very special guest right out of Kerry, Ireland. Welcome, Aisling FitzGibbon. Wow. Aisling FitzGibbon. This episode today is on set healthy boundaries and boost your mental, physical energy. Originally from Tralee, Ireland, holds a BA in Early Childhood Studies since 2007, and 2010, a first-class BSc degree in Occupational Therapy, providing alternative and holistic health services. Aisling FitzGibbon is a holistic nutritional coach and founder of the Self-Sovereignty Foundation, advocate of pure drinking water and the removal of fluoride treatments on humanity. Are you interested in elevating your spirit with natural immunity? Then you can, with Aisling FitzGibbon's Aisling, she can show you how with her 7 top boosting tips. And for a free guide, you can visit her website. And we will be discussing a little bit more about that. And since December 19th, 2016, Aisling FitzGibbon's fairy tale of the perfect man swept her off her feet, and she got married, and with the blessing of a baby soon to be. And this fairy tales do come true. She's living proof of it, and you can also visit her and Richie Ross on the Aisling and Richie TalkShow. You can join her on Be Your True Self Community Facebook group and Be Your True Self Inside and Out. It is a sacred space for supporting emerging women who are finding their voice and stepping into their feminine power. Aisling, in October of 2018, held her first Energy is Your Currency wellness training. From what she had learned from the past 8 years as a holistic plant-based nutritional coach, she can help us build resilience with new habits to improve our energy, performance, and overall well-being. She is a renowned public speaker and author of the 2020 book, Moving from Fear to Trust, and her teachings draw from her personal life experience of dealing with illness, loss, and her professional training. She can help you to raise your energy so you can reclaim your health and create the life you want. And her favorite quote is, "Love is the answer," because she believes that we are here to learn to become whole again. Once we achieve this within ourselves, we can manifest great change. And her motto is, "I am eternal." And with that said, please join us here today to set a healthy boundaries and boost our mental and physical energy. Aisling?
Thank you so much for that amazing introduction. And it's a total pleasure to be here. I'm really excited to have this conversation with you today.
So you mentioned here that our symptoms are an invitation for us to change and discover a new way of being. Is this similar to our circumstances, or does this physical body that contains our spirit that we may be allowed to have this human experience. Is this the one that's the symptoms that we feel on a physical level first, or is it that we feel it through our circumstances, or is it like, can you explain that?
I think probably maybe a combination of both, but I think mainly what prompts change and prompts us to really look at things is our symptoms that happen on a physical level, because it's what gets our our attention the most. And for me, I've come to the conclusion that for us to evolve, it's like we need to have promptings, and sometimes that can come through either inspiration, or it can come through dealing with physical symptoms. And I always say to people that I'm working with, our physical symptoms are really the signposts, and instead of trying to fight against them, actually to become curious about them so that they can lead us into where we are wanting to change in our lives. And that can also relate to our circumstances, because oftentimes, we don't fit with where we are. And yeah, we have to get our attention somehow. And those physical symptoms are definitely the strongest messenger really for that change to come in. And that was the case for my own self. I wouldn't be talking to you today if it wasn't for the physical symptoms that I had initially. And that was what led me onto a path of healing my body and learning about everything with water, food. And then that obviously then related then to a mental and emotional and spiritual change, really like a whole being metamorphosis can happen. And I think, and that's where chronic illness, chronic symptoms can be such a gateway of change, when you actually take that invitation and instead of suppressing them with, say, like allopathic medicine, that we actually learn to heal them and let them show us where we're meant to change.
You most certainly have experienced a bout of grief from when your mother passed away, and it kind of blocked you in the way of you had to become more resilient, and you started doing public speaking, and you became an activist for Girls Against Fluoride, and the whole world, for you had turned upside down at that time. Can you explain some of the ordeals that brought you strength to tip everything, and turn it around?
Yeah, so my mom, she got suddenly unwell. That was in 2018, and she had a massive seizure. She ended up being in a coma for 3 months. So that was like my whole world, as you said, my whole world was completely turned upside down, because up to that point, she was like my anchor for being in the physical world. And suddenly she was gone. So it was like I had to learn how to become that for myself, how to become that mother for myself. And so what did that look like for me practically? It really was like coming back to using food as medicine. I was using like all healing foods, and everything that I was putting into my body was to nourish and to soothe and to mother myself, to like really ground myself into my physical body. And also spending time in nature. Like when I was in the really deep grief, I spent a lot of time swimming in the sea. So I live quite near the sea here in Ireland, and I used to post videos of myself going into the cold water, and it would just like wash away that real heavy grief that I felt in my body, that just felt like lead almost, just like this really heavy, really hard to get through things. And as soon as I go into the water in the sea, it would just lift, and I would just feel connected again and reminded of, that there is no separation between life and death, and that my mom had just changed her form. And so I think for me, the understanding that we are eternal was the biggest thing that helped me. That was the biggest turning point for my grief. Obviously, it takes time, because it kind of hits you at different ways, and in different situations. But it's like my resilience was built because I wasn't in that like massive fear that my mom was gone forever. It was really that understanding that she's continued on her own journey in a different form. And I think for me, it was like I had to really connect myself to source. And that was, to me, like the biggest motivation actually to do all the healing foods, was because I wanted to open up my body at a cellular level, making sure that I wasn't disconnected. I wanted to feel connected, because before that I was getting my full connection really through my mom. Whereas then I had to learn to connect through my own self.
How do we do that and at the same time learn to form healthy boundaries? That you said here that they are the foundation to creating a vibrant health and a sovereign life.
Mm-hmm.
So do we first have to connect with source and then learn these boundaries, or do we have to do these boundaries in order to protect ourselves to get back into source? How would you describe that?
Yeah, I think the latter, really, in terms of you have to be able to create those boundaries with your energy so that you can actually connect. Because for me, I had a huge initiation with, I suppose, family members, and just different things happening that were not understanding the life path that I was walking. And I had to establish and create very healthy boundaries so that I was, again, protecting my own energy and my own field, so that I could be in that sovereign reality. It's like you have to cultivate that as a daily practice. It's not something that is a one-time event. It's like it's a constant cultivation, and having those energetic boundaries with others, but also with yourself. So making sure that you're taking care of yourself, you're making time for self-care, you're doing all the basics. So you're making sure you're properly hydrated, you're eating properly, you're not going for like loads of time without eating. You're supporting your adrenals and your nervous system. And I think a strong nervous system is essential to connect to source. And then obviously that relates to having enough rest and time in nature and sleep, all of these things that actually help us to feel our best energetically. And I think it's a practice that you learn to cultivate. And you don't always get it right, but you learn through your mistakes, then, where you might feel depleted when you do a certain thing, and then you start to learn to avoid doing those things. For me, I got rid of alcohol out of my life, and doing anything depleting, I just moved away from that altogether and just moved towards everything that was aligned with regeneration and regenerating my own energy, my own resources, my own self, so that I could feel that full connection. And yeah, I'm still on that journey with it, but it definitely gets easier as you practice it more and more. It's like a garden. It's like growing a garden. It's like what you cultivate is what you'll see.
And how do you feel about earth minerals, in the sense of, okay, what I've experienced with me is, salt rocks and lamps, and now I find that the Himalayan salt rocks, we're grinding them up into salt and having the minerals from, let's say, the magnesium that comes from the Himalayan earth rocks, and all the other salt minerals that we use as crystals for Reiki and out from the outside. How would you feel about grinding those like in the salt form and ingesting them? And what is your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, because we have a huge need for mineral salts in our bodies for our, the electrical currents, and we are electric beings, like running through our nervous systems and our cellular function. But I think we're actually far better off predominantly getting our mineral salts from foods like celery, from leafy greens, from cucumbers, from lemons, limes, that all contain very high levels of mineral salts. Because you see, if we're taking salt, if you're grinding down like Himalayan salt or even sea salt, it's quite dehydrating.
Okay.
And it can actually retain toxins in the body. So it's not to say that you can't have, a certain amount in your diet, but it's like our body to function properly needs mineral salts, but we're far better off getting them from plant versions like celery, leafy greens, cucumbers, lemons, limes. Those mineral salts are far more healing, and they also purify and hydrate the body. So yeah, we definitely need those to feel grounded. And also another great way of getting mineral salts in is from the sea vegetables. So from like Atlantic sea vegetables. So over there where you are, you call it dulsk, or we call it dillisk. It's the purple seaweed. That's a
Dill?
really good one. Or dillisk.
Oh,
Yeah.
dill.
You call it dulsk, Dulse.
Okay.
And it's just a sea vegetable, and things like nori and sea spaghetti. There's lots of amazing sea vegetables.
Seaweed, yes. The Koreans use that a lot too.
Yeah. Well,
Chips.
the Irish, we have a huge amount of seaweed here, being such a island. So it's another great form of mineral salts as well. That helps you to actually feel very earthed in your physical form, which I think you need to be grounded in order to be able to connect to the higher aspects.
And we got to do it in a way where we don't gain all this fat and all the toxins.
Exactly.
Because I'm noticing this a lot, and I don't really crave water. So I'm thinking, why not? This is a little bit advanced for me to be thinking in this kind of experimental thing. But I'm thinking, why not like how they have amethysts and things, and they purify water and whatever else. And why not do that? Grind, let's say, an amethyst or a citrine, and maybe it will help like the sacral, sacred, let's say, chakra, or the, for the amethyst, let's say, for the, what is it? Um, the psychic level or whatever
Yeah.
that we need grounding from the outside, how we do it, and whatever gland that the chakras do release, instead of doing the synthetic, how we take drugs to actually grind these salt minerals that I'm thinking of, crystals, and actually taking them into our bodies and then drinking the water.
Yeah. Well, I think you see the two main things that our bodies need to feel healthy and grounded and in most vibrant health is actually we need glucose. So we need glucose from things like fruits, honey. Raw honey is another great source, and carbohydrates, like potatoes, sweet potatoes, yams, squashes. And then we also need the mineral salts. So we need a huge amount of green vegetables like lettuces, spinach, and as I was saying, celery, cucumbers, all these things. Like if we don't have that mineral salts in the diet, you're going to be craving salt from different sources.
Okay.
But it's far superior to take them in through the plant version. So even if you eat whatever diet, it's like just ensuring that you're getting the healing foods in, because they're the foods that will actually help us to navigate this time and to move away from chronic illness and symptoms and be able to heal our bodies, because we're encountering so much from the environment that we need to recover our physical bodies from.
I'm still waiting for the zeolite, excuse me, for my zeolite powder to come in. It normally comes in drops, like liquid form that they put it in, but actually it's from volcano ashes.
Mm-hmm.
And what it does, it's supposed to absorb any graphite,
Oh yeah.
that metals that we become magnetic, that they're putting in our waters and our food, and aluminum and all these other toxins that they do through, through the air and the sky when they do with the planes and
the chemtrails as well. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to be taking that because I found that I'm a little bit on the magnetic side, and I don't know where it came from and the foods I'm ingesting. And, I might be paying a lot of money for the good things. And like you're saying, yes, we can do a lot with cold pressed celery juice.
Yeah.
But there's only so much that we can do on a cellular level and things. But we also have to have these things like zeolite to help remove the metals, right? The graphite.
Oh yeah, we definitely need different supplements to help, because we need to be actively detoxing metals out of the body. So there's another, I was writing down here, the 5 core ingredients. It's the medical medium heavy metal detox. I don't know if have you tried that?
The what? Sorry?
It's the heavy metal detox by Medical Medium. Have you heard of that?
No, not really. No.
So, okay, so it's wild blueberries to make a smoothie. So it's wild blueberries, a combination of wild blueberries, the seaweed, so the dillisk or dulse seaweed,
Okay.
spirulina, barley grass juice powder, and coriander. So you make a smoothie of that. So if you're, they're the 5 main ingredients, but they actually help to collate heavy metals that are in the body that have accumulated in the body and help to pull it out safely and excrete it from the body. So that's something that you can do daily as a smoothie in the morning. And it's like you make it up then, like with say fresh orange juice and bananas. And then the other 5 ingredients, the blueberries, the seaweed, spirulina, the barley grass juice powder, and the coriander. That's an amazing way to really do deeper heavy metal detox. But actually, you're talking about fat as well. And if you're eating a lot of fat in the diet, that actually helps to retain metals and toxins. So we have to be looking at reducing our fats and, taking out the foods that are very, very high in fat, because if they are, basically retaining the toxins, so like the metals then will get stuck in the fat in the body. So it will lodge into the organs. So that's another part of it, as well as, doing various supplements that do detox metals. You need to be looking like overall at the diet, because it's not just about like taking, say, zeolite, it's like, it's everything you're doing holistically.
I'm kind of listening to my body. I'm not like saying whatever they want me to take and how many doses and everything. So I'm just doing it how it makes me feel with the first intake. And then I go along with what my body, you have to be really connected to your body, right? And
you do. Yeah. Well, your own personal symptoms, like what you're feeling, is the best barometer for your health. Like nobody else can tell you that, like you're the only one living in your body. So you can feel all of these, sensations, or how you feel energetically, and, just all your kind of vital signs really are the indicator of what direction you're going in.
Well, I'm trying to figure out here the exhaustion part of it. And could it be because I need to form more boundaries, or, it's a delicate balance of what it is that, because I really don't know, and I'm not really aware of if I even have any boundaries.
I know. Well, boundaries are a really hard one. And I think especially for women, and especially if you kind of resonate with light work, or, you would recognize yourself as more empathic, you can actually kind of intuit other people's feelings and all these things. And sometimes we can blur our boundaries with others, it can be hard to decipher, like, who am I to who the other person is, and, and where am I serving, but where am I maybe over giving, so I think all of these things you have to just really inquire within our own selves, and like look at overall, like how we're feeling, like if we're feeling depleted after being around certain people or doing certain activities. It's really to really understand your own personal boundaries, and then expressing them and actually teaching them to yourself, and also then teaching them to other people, like how you'd like to be treated. And I think that's a huge part of exhaustion, is actually not having the healthy boundaries. But then the other part of it is your adrenals, like you can be in adrenal fatigue or adrenal stress. So you have to look at protecting your adrenals as well. It's not just about, again, it's like, it's never just one thing. It's like looking at everything, like overall.
The kidneys, you're saying the kidneys.
Well, the adrenals and the kidneys. So the adrenals can go into fatigue very easily. And they are, like, especially with the world the way it is right now, it's highly, it's triggering adrenaline all the time. So a lot of the time we're living in fight or flight, and that's very depleting and exhausting to the adrenals. So one great tip for the adrenals is actually to do something what's called adrenal snacking. So you don't go more than 2 hours without eating. This is when you are in like exhaustion, is super important. And what you want to have, it's not just about eating whatever, it's actually about like eating something that has glucose. So like something like fruit, some type of fruit, and then having something with mineral salts, whether that's some type of green, like a bit of lettuce or spinach or celery or cucumber slices, and having that, so you're not going more than 2 hours, having those snacks kind of after your meals, like you have your breakfast, then you have a snack, you have your lunch, then you have a snack. You're not going more than 2 hours. In some cases, people have to have those snacks every 90 minutes to bring back the adrenals, because what happens is your blood sugars drop every 2 hours. And if you are already in fatigue, you actually can't tolerate that. So it's like you're actually running your body on adrenaline when you're going for like extended periods of time. So that's where fasting, you have to be really careful with fasting, and even cleansing. You have to be really careful that you're doing the right type of cleansing that's supporting your adrenals and not causing them to be further stressed.
So what do you recommend? I noticed that I've always had some kind of issue with, I don't know, you want to call it the throat chakra, but it's always like something, I'm clearing my throat, or I'm not a smoker. I stopped smoking in 2014, but I'm kind of wondering, could it be through my diet? The cheeses I have to stop? What is it that's creating this thing in my throat?
Well, in the throat, and you're saying you're having this kind of clearing, it's like it's a mucus buildup. So I would say, any form of dairy, and even if you're, say, a plant-based eater, if you're having lots of nut-based cheeses as well, they can be also problematic because they're really high in fat. So yeah, dairy number one is what I'd be looking at, because that's mucus forming food, and you'll often see it in the throat coming up, or sinuses as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so we're all interested in this elevating our spirit with natural immunity. And now you have this free offer on 7 top boosting tips that people can go visit your website at Aisling FitzGibbon, which is www.AISLINGFITZGIBBON.com and /free and then guide. So they can find you on your website and get this free guide. And do you want to tell us, maybe give us these top 7 pointers that we can look forward to when visiting your website?
Yeah, well, if I can remember them, all 7. No, in terms of, I created that quite a while ago.
Okay.
That free guide. But yeah, I mean, it's really about like what I'm talking about, in terms of like looking at the foods that you're eating. So again, at the moment, obviously the world is fixated on a virus, but it's not just this current virus. It's like there's a viral explosion that's happening with many other viruses, namely one called Epstein-Barr virus that's creating a lot of chronic illness. So in the guide, I'm talking about like the foods that you need to remove, firstly, that are feeding viruses. So, for immunity, it's not just about taking lots of, for example, vitamin C and zinc and all these things. It's like, firstly, you have to look at removing feeding the virus. Then you also have to look at, adding in the healing foods. So just give some suggestions around that, like the celery juice, the smoothies, some soups and things like that with all the healing foods, and then looking at the top supplements. So the biggest one that most people are deficient in is actually zinc. And if you don't have enough zinc levels in your body, viruses will really run havoc in your system, and yeah, will lower your immune system. So yeah, it's just giving people that kind of overview of really how to support your body with what we're going through collectively right now, and to make those changes. And yeah, and again, I mean, it's not something that you can do overnight, and that's why, with my work, I created a health school that I guide people through this process, because it can sometimes feel like, oh my gosh, I can't give up all these foods. People, we're very like much creatures of habit, and we're used to the certain foods that we brought up in our households and the kind of traditions that we're used to. So it is a transition process. So I very much guide people through that transition process as well. But yeah, the free guide is just a starting point to kind of get people on that path themselves and to start making those small steps. Because again, it's not about like changing everything straight away. It's really about like consistently doing new steps, new habits, and really being able to sustain that. Because a lot of people are really good at like doing a diet for like 2 weeks, and then they fall back into like old habits and, you know, oh yeah, I tried that for 2 weeks, but it's like, it takes way longer than 2 weeks to see results, you know, with natural healing. Things take time. So yeah, I think it's really important for people to just be compassionate to themselves and just start really simple and then build from there.
Now, have you published, excuse me again, see, I'm not taking my candies. Have you published a book, The Moving from Fear to Trust? Because I can't find it anywhere. Maybe you
Yeah, no, the book was meant to be published then, but yeah, we got a little bit delayed. So it's actually being pushed forward to next year. It's going to be published next year. And yeah, I'm also having a baby next year. So yeah, we'll see how that works. So we're gonna have the baby first anyway, and then look at the book publishing date. And yeah, because my fiance is a singer-songwriter, and we're going to be doing a tour. He converted a van into a camper van. So we're going to be doing a tour of Ireland with the book, and he's going to be doing house concerts in people's homes and on their land. And yeah, so because venues, you know, things are shutting down here, we're creating like an alternative culture here in Ireland. And already, like, I have a really good friend, he's a comedian, and last year he actually toured all of Ireland. He did his own comedy show in people's homes. He did the 32 counties of Ireland. So yeah, you know, yeah, it's amazing to see like all the different things that are actually happening at this time, which we wouldn't have done.
The pure bloods.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the pure bloods. Yeah, and we're connecting and we're gathering, and you know, we can't meet in hotels without the pass or anything like that. So we're having our own venues, you know, we're going to people's places, people who have studios in their houses, and you know, just setting up alternative venues, going to people's sitting rooms, you know, doesn't have to be anything more than that. And I think it's just returning to that connection of our own power.
That's very grounding. I mean, again, we're dealing with from fear to trust. And I keep getting back to this thought of the earth, the root chakra, and also the root chakra through the heart chakra, and how you keep talking about these things, and you know, these realities of connection, and the symptoms that we have, that there's only one sure way of doing it is through trust and surrender. Can you further expand on how we
yeah
go
I mean, I think with everything like what's going on with our bodies is like, if we're coming at it from a place of fear, you know, that's not conducive to healing. You know, so you might be doing all the healing practices like I was in the past. So I'm talking from my own personal experience, where I was taking like loads of organic foods and supplements, and I was doing all the detoxing and everything, but I was doing it like through an attitude of fear and mistrust in my body, because I felt traumatized actually from losing my health. You know, it was very, very traumatic. I was very young, and I was 23, and I felt like my life was kind of over. You know, my health wasn't functioning, and I just wasn't able to work full time. And anyway, I kind of came to the conclusion that it's like, if you're constantly approaching yourself through fear, you know, that's just running adrenaline. It's keeping you in that state of fight or flight, and it's not creating the environment in which that you heal and thrive and regenerate. So in order to heal our symptoms and our physical body, we actually have to cultivate an attitude and a practice of trust and surrender to the experience. Because without that, it's like we're missing the right foundation for us to heal and to create the stepping stone into creating a new future for ourselves. So I think that's something that I constantly speak about and practice my own self. And I think it's an essential ingredient for healing to take place. Because healing isn't just physical, you know, it's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual, it's our soul, it's like it's our whole being. And so it's like coming back into that trust. It's like, because when our trust has been shattered, yes, we're fragmented.
Oh,
at a
yes.
soul level, and in our psyche, it's fragmented. So it's like, physical goes far beyond just the physical body, or physical healing goes far beyond the physical body, because we're multidimensional.
This trust thing right now, we're going through a lot of globally, humanity's going through a deep cleanse and a testing of who do they trust? God in a created image that they would worship and fall, become enslaved, or this is a test amongst humanity to kind of see, am I enslaved or am I sovereign? Am I going to trust within myself, or am I going to trust in the external mirrors that are telling me, to do all these things? And reliance is confidence, relying on oneself. If you don't have that reliance, that self-esteem, and you're looking for it from the outside, then everything's going to be shattered. I mean, how can you trust that? How can we trust the mirrors, you see? So this,
Yeah. No, we can't trust those mirrors. No. And it really isn't it, and when you say trust, it's not about like having blind trust and lack of discernment and in like what's happening, say, in the outer world, in those distorted mirrors. But it's actually about like returning home to within, coming home to ourselves, and actually developing that trust in ourself and our connection to source and what is actually real, like moving away from the world that is enslaving us, and moving towards a world that is actually sovereign, and bringing us back to generating our support in a community of like-minded people, connecting to people who are also on that path of evolution, and coming together and creating practical solutions around what we're doing, like whether we're growing our own food, or we're exchanging skills and we're coming together from that place. But it's like the trust cannot be in the outside, that is actually has now become completely tyrannical, to the point that it's like all trust has been shattered, from that front.
right.
Yeah.
And if we can only just like trust and become advocates of nature and everything that's natural, and like you're saying, just surrender to the magical kingdom of nature. And I think it's more so mankind has been hurt so bad and disconnected from the creator, and from, well, so much so the matriarchy. I mean, if we allow nature to take it, to be the judgment, just let nature do it. And you might start seeing more females than males, but then the balance will bring itself back. But when mankind sees, oh no, more females, they start getting all weird and they think they're going to become extinct. And then this is what's happening now. And they're trying to kill everything off and continue with this disconnect.
Yeah.
The power to, just kind of recreate in their own image. But if they just let all that go and just trust, if anything, mankind, the gender, for one thing, is because they've been so disconnected from the mother and the matriarchy. And we need to bring that back and to have a mature man. You see?
Absolutely. We do. Absolutely. And I totally agree. And actually the work that I've kind of got, because I'm now pregnant and having a baby next April, and the work that I'm going into is like unraveling like all of the false programming around pregnancy and childbirth, and all of the disconnection in childbirth, and bringing it back to actually what it's intended to be. Like it's like we have this magical natural ability to birth without any interventions, without any interference, just letting the body do its thing, obviously fully supporting the body. And I feel like that's the beginning, like where that severance happens is at birth.
Yes.
And so
Especially for man. Yes.
So part of my role is to reconnect that, and to really lead that path for others to go on that journey as well, and to return to the mother and that deep connection with her, and reestablishing that connection is really what I hope to do for this baby that I'm bringing in, and to show others that that's possible, that we don't need to be living in fear or birthing in fear. And that creates that ultimate severance in our psyche from the very beginning of our life, which needs to be reconnected.
And man feels like, where do they fit in all of this?
Well, the man is such an important role, actually, because the woman, when she goes into birth, when she's actually deep in the process, she goes into an altered brain state. So she goes into like delta brain waves. So she's basically not like here. And the woman is traveling to connect to the soul of the baby, to bring the baby into the physical. And so the role of the man is to actually hold the woman, to be the space holder and the protector of that very, very sacred time, and to not let any interference happen. And so the man actually, if he's given his full right in that role, he actually then becomes like he is born a father in that process. But because of the way it's been distorted, the man isn't able to actually initiate into his fatherhood role in the way it's meant to be. And so the disconnect has started there, you know?
Okay.
So it's like, it's really putting the man in his rightful position again.
Yes.
So that we can actually, so the masculine is actually holding the feminine and supporting. And that will then carry through, you know, into the family life, and how everything will unfold from that moment.
Because they're trying, the man right now, just because they have money, they think, oh, for $1 million, I'll get myself a robot wife. And you know, with my RNA and DNA and have impregnate her. And they're doing this right now in Japan. And it's like, wow, you just want to totally get rid of women. And then how is this going to happen? I mean, like, I just started thinking about Athena and how she came through Zeus's head. And I mean, like, how many Athenas are we going to have? You know,
I know,
it's crazy. We can't be like this.
No, we can't be like this. And it's just showing, you know, that again, it's that distorted mirror, isn't it? And that's why I feel, you know, I was talking to my friend Kira Young, you know, and she was even saying, it's like that role that you're taking with this pregnancy and birth, it's like it's an archetypal role to help others to actually come into it as well. You know, it's not just one person doing it. It's actually like really paving this way. And I'm not the only person doing this. There's many, many women all over the world that are now reclaiming their power with birth, because we realize that we have to do that it's a very sacred and important role to take, because if we keep going down the road that whole distorted man-made mirror world is just gonna, you know, bring humanity to extinction, basically. So it's like we have to courageously step into our roles to like bring ourselves into the path of evolution that we need. And I think trusting that, my trust is in that, as opposed to that other, you know, overlay of dystopia reality. You know, it's like I have no trust in that, you know. So it's not about having trust without discernment. It's about, really, as you said, it's that trust in nature, what is real,
right,
and coming back to that,
and the sun,
and aligning with that.
And the sun, and it's like every time the sun comes out, something really crazy. These dutiful people, men at work, and they're trying to remove the sun through sound and all these things, and their LED lights, and it's like, come on.
I know.
This?
I know.
They're afraid of the sun, almost, like, you know, they don't want to, like,
yeah,
you know, cover it up or something, you know.
Well, the sun is our again, it's another form of connection, isn't it? And it's like it connects us back. So yeah, I understand that they are trying to cut that away from people and make people afraid of it. Oh, you have got skin cancer, you can't go out in the sun, and you need to cover yourself in toxic sun cream, you know.
Yes.
and not get any sun because it's so dangerous. And it's like, no. We need the sun. We need to be connecting with the sun on a daily basis, even if it's not hot, that we're actually, you know, out in the daylight and not wearing sunglasses and actually connecting our full being to the sun.
For our immune system as well.
Our immune system is vital, because without that, we're completely immune deprived. You know, we're like, our immune system is depleted, and we're very like a factory farmed animal. you're going to be filled with diseases if we're disconnected from nature. Like the minute we disconnect from nature, everything goes wrong.
And what do you think about light body beings? Like you get to a certain level where you have the sunlight and water, fresh water, like primary water.
Yeah, I mean, some people get to that point in their evolution where they become like a breatharian and they're able to just live off the sunlight. I don't know, it might be for some, it might be for everyone, I'm not sure. Maybe we're on that road to evolve to that, but I think the first kind of step anyway is actually getting our bodies accustomed to eating more light-filled foods through the plants, so that we are taking in that sunlight through we're ingesting the sunlight through the plants as well.
Can you imagine how grounded we have to be before we can even reach those kind of levels? And enlightenment requires a certain amount of grounding. So this is where it starts.
It does, yeah. And it's that continuous process, isn't it? It's like we have to first of all, we have to undo a lot of damage that's been done. We have to like regenerate. It's like the soil has to be regenerated because it's been so poisoned. And likewise, our bodies have for generations been poisoned from all sources. Water, air, food, everything really has been
traumatizing to even just think about it, and just to let our imaginations go there and remove.
I know, yeah, it is horrifying, because when I got involved in the fluoride campaign, I used to just wake up feeling like physically sick in my stomach, going, how the hell could people actually do this? How could they contaminate water with like industrial chemicals that are highly toxic to the, I was just like, oh,
boundaries.
And you have to be like, okay, again, like, what are we feeding energetically? Are we feeding the wolf? Are we feeding the dark? Or are we feeding what it is that we want to create? And aligning with that is where our power is, and having the boundaries and the practice with ourselves, so that we are feeding that more, more and more, and we're shifting away from what it is that is harming us. If we empower that, then we just keep ourselves enslaved. Whereas to become self-sovereign, and again, that's a journey, isn't it? It's not a overnight overnight process. It's something that we have to keep reaffirming, like what we are creating. And again, we all have our own individual callings, but I think for us to fulfill our calling, we have to be having the physical health to do that. So that's where my perspective is, that we need to be having the great boundaries to take care of our physical forms. And that, like, it's hard at times when we're going through a lot of challenges and there's a lot of things happening in the world. But yeah, you have to have the boundaries to be able to pull away as well from that which is triggering you, so that you're able to really create your own reality and your own sanctuary.
Authenticity is something that is very vital here to finding our own selves. And when we look at it within others, and we kind of lose our way, and we try to be like everybody else, and all these competitions, and we lose our way, like man has lost their way. They want to experience what it's like to be a mother, because it's okay to accept the creator in all forms. But then when we try to be something that we're not, we lose our way of who we really are.
Absolutely. And I think that's a huge stress. That's it. Not being your authentic real self is a huge stress as well, because you can't feel fully content and peaceful if you're not being your actual self.
Well, if a man wants to have a baby, I noticed that a lot of them do experience, like maybe your partner might be experiencing it on other levels too, right? That he might be feeling pregnant too, and that, all the symptoms that you're going through too. And so we kind of have to have some kind of discernment there, like you're saying, boundaries too, to know, well, that's you that I'm picking up and I'm feeling and I'm helping to strengthen together. But I'm also me, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have to be able to protect our own individual selves, because even though we're all one and we're all integrated together, we all have our own individual selves that we have to make sure that we're taken care of. And having those boundaries with others and in relationship with others is essential for that, which is again, it comes back to as well, I think a lot of our boundaries have come from like what behaviors have been modeled for us, and a lot of the time we haven't actually had any healthy boundaries modeled to us, so
Yeah,
we have to learn them.
we haven't experienced any, like, and it's hard to trust these kind of connections. How do we connect with others in the way that we don't get lost ourselves, that we know ourselves enough to be able to form relationships with others and value each other's authenticity, so it doesn't have to be a uniform kind of quality and
Yeah.
women's rights and then man's rights, and then it goes off balance again, you see.
I know. Yeah. Which is not where we want to go. But yeah, no, I think again, it's about developing a relationship with yourself for, is the most important relationship. Not to overvalue your relationship with others and to abandon your own self for those relationships. Like we have to make space for our own selves to know ourselves.
Where I'm getting here is with the aspect of man. Okay, women have already have the capability of creating, but they feel like they need to recreate nature, that they need to be in control. And do they really want subservience? Because in the end, that's not really what they want. That's not really what you want, guys. I know you want the nice little perfect housewife and everybody to be, that's called slavery.
Yeah.
They want to be enslaved. What is this fascination with enslavement?
Well, it's that domination, isn't it? It's like, because if you're not connected to your own self, you try and dominate other people to get your power from them.
Yeah, that's not really where we want to go, guys. Come on.
No, not in the slightest. But I think like for me, say, yeah, my relationship with my fiance Richie, like we've got that real healthy kind of balance between like being able to express like what we actually want with each other, as in like I need my space and I'm here to support you, but also I'm here to live my own vision and my own life. So it's about like having that mutual support as opposed to one being the dominant, like the male.
He's very connected to himself, to his source, and he's very creative. So he's very mature on that level,
Oh, he is. Yeah. I said the stars aligned when we met. Because it's a rare find, to have that with somebody. But I think hopefully there's going to be more of that coming. And when we have our children, I don't know if it's going to be a boy or a girl yet, but being able to bring up that next generation as well and to instill that in them, I think is so important, so that we're not having this male dominated culture. And again, it's like, but also we don't want to flip into like female dominated either. It needs to be the harmony between the two, supporting each other, the female and the male.
Oh, but it's gonna happen. The female has to kind of bring the balance back, and it might seem to be a little bit over dominating at the time.
Yeah.
The man has to trust and accept it, and
absolutely
not over fantasize on the enslavement aspects of it, or the idolism and twist it, because the women at the same time trust in the men to kind of they kind of get there at the same time, kind of thing.
I totally agree. The women definitely have to lead this way, because it's not gonna come about otherwise. And I've definitely seen that over the years, that it's like the females, and again there's like lots of strong men as well that I've met, and amazing guys that are out there doing fantastic work as well. But it's letting the feminine lead so that the masculine can support it.
Yeah, inclusiveness.
Yeah, without going, oh, are you in charge? Am I not in charge? It's like, no. Get rid of all that. Get rid of all that ego nonsense,
Right? And
yeah, it's just childish.
It's not just men. It's not like a gender thing. Women take that on too. And
they
have to be ego driven in this kind of world. And it's like, no more.
there's such a mistrust you see in the feminine, you know, and it's with everything, with healing, with childbirth, everything. It's like people have such a fear of like the unknown, the mystery.
Right.
And it's because they're so disconnected themselves to that aspect within their own selves. Whereas the more connected you are, the more comfortable you are with that, you know, just being able to go into the unknown and not have to, you know, it's like nature. It's like that force and dominance isn't there. It's just this organic process, and it, you know, it mysteriously happens, and, you know, the seasons turn into the next season, and it's like trusting that nature, like within our own selves, I think is really probably the best way to like come back into that, you know. It's like, even I was recommended, you know, for women who are birthing babies to watch animals birth in the wild, because it actually reconnects us. Like when we actually see that nature, it reconnects us to what's in us. Like we can tap back into like what's within us and dissolve these programmed mental constructs that we need to dissolve now.
And get her libido back and get back into shape and all these other things.
All these other things that go with it. Yeah.
Our sexuality, you know.
Yeah, our creative life force, isn't it? It's like getting back into that like love affair, like that passion and that creative energy, whether that's creating a podcast or whether that's creating a book or creating a garden, creating a family, whatever. It's like it's getting back into that beautiful love affair energy that we have with life.
Dissolving all the blocks, all the rejections. I think of like when I had my experience, and back in 1988, we're in Cuba, Veradero Beach, where the undertow took me in the water, the undertow, and it's back out. And I was pronounced dead. I was brain dead for a while, and right under,
Jesus.
And so that's a kind of rejection. I think, well, you know, maybe rejection's not so bad sometimes.
I know.
It's all for the best, you know?
Yeah. But I think a key thing that I'm seeing with so many people is where people get trapped is, again, you know, like needing to have approval from others is one of the biggest traps that we have, because I think that's why this whole thing, pandemic, whatever you want to call it, is playing out, because everyone just wants to, you know, be accepted by others. But it's like we have to move beyond like the need to be accepted by, like, that, you know, having to be accepted by the tribe, basically, you know, wherever we find ourselves, whether that's family or work or whatever. It's like we have to let go of that and actually become approving of our own selves first and foremost.
For me, I find the key ingredient is finding a partner, an intimate partner, and forming that kind of relationship, and then everything else just falls into place so magically, because from that primal way, then the tribe, then the friends, then everything else. But how do you do it just you alone? Like
I think you definitely, I think you definitely need that support of a partner, as you say, that because I can't say that I would have been able to do this path on my own, like without, say, meeting Richie. Like he's been like instrumental for holding that space for me to be able to step away from all those things that I needed to let go of in order to become who I am. So yeah, I think having the right person in your life, an intimate partner who was the right type of partner, you know, because we can.
You know, maybe someone who already has a family, because let's say I don't have a family, I'm just one. My main thing is, you know, not so much for others to relate to me, but in the world that we live in, people want a next of kin. People want to see some references, some testimonials, some things like this. And the only way others can relate is if you have like a partner. Even my profession, my ex-profession in funeral services, they're like, hey, you need to get a partner, you know, and it's like, well, maybe a billionaire whenever they show up. Come on, you know?
Yeah.
It's putting a lot of pressure. And then I
Yeah.
go back to, well, you know, it's the matrix. It's probably just the mirrors getting to me again. And maybe it has a lot to do again. Maybe I'm having mother issues or whatever it is. Maybe
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't have a sister. Maybe because, you know, whatever it is that, again, it has to do with nature. She's off balance and I'm very connected to nature. And she's trying to bring back the balance for us. And if we just surrender and let it go and forget about everything, like you're saying, trust into the unknown and to the unknowable, right?
Yeah.
And just let it happen. But we're so much in resistance. We have so much hurt. We have so much trauma. And
Mm-hmm.
I guess that's what my mission is, to kind of help with that, and then care so much about who my partner or sexual, you know,
Yeah.
things and physical, you know, realities in that sense. And
Well, I think that's a key thing, because I think in order to actually, well, I think to be in wholeness within relationship to others anyway, is you have to do your own inner work. You know, like no partner can do that for you. Nobody can make you happy. Nobody can give you that sense of security. It's an added bonus if you can journey and walk with somebody who can be on a similar resonance with you. But I think you have to heal those core wounds yourself, because without that, we're still trapped. We're not able to connect back in. So that has been a huge part of my process as well. You know, like the physical, because when you do the physical purification, everything starts coming up. You unearth everything, the emotional wounds, just the kind of distorted way that you think, you know, from all the different imprints that you've received. So you have to do a huge clearing and purification process on all levels to be able to connect. You know, it's not just a case of, oh yeah, I want to connect now. It's like, okay, you have to go on a massive inner quest, inner journey, and do the work to do that. Like, it takes self-mastery to do this journey. And it's not about like needing anyone to save us, like, oh, Prince Charming will come along and then everything will be fine. It's like, no, because if you're still wounded, you'll you know, all that comes up whenever you're in close relationships to anyone. Like, all of your wounds will come up. So unless you've done that work and you continue to do that work on yourselves, you know, just dysfunctional relationships will happen.
Again, it's not about, for me, it's not about saving. It's about having someone to inspire each other with and to grow together. And, you know, maybe I'm very so connected to the earth that I'm finding whatever off balance is my thing, to want to bring back the balance. And for example, whatever we see most of, like we hidden brotherhood, Freemasonry, why not create a hidden sisterhood and do a supportive system like that globally, you know? And I'm thinking things like that. And to the extremes of bringing back the balance, we need that kind of extreme.
Oh, we do, absolutely. And I think well, a sisterhood is very important. And for me, having that in my own life has been like a huge part of my journey. And you know, it's like you can walk alone for a certain period of time, but then it's so much stronger when you come together. Like with like minds, where you're able to inspire each other into like far greater creation and possibility than you could even imagine just on your own. Because I know that, like, when I have gatherings with the circles that I have here locally, here in Ireland, you know, it just, you feel like anything is possible when you come together. So I think I totally agree with that vision of bringing sisterhood together, but not even, you know, the way the whole like Freemasonry and all this nonsense is in the secret. But I think it's like having those sisterhoods, like, not in secret, you know, as in they're known, they're out there. It's not, we're not hiding ourselves anymore. We're not going to be burnt at the stake this time round.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a good perception of it. Wow.
Yeah.
So in closing, I think we spent a lot of time here, and I would love to have you back on here again. I mean, we have so much to talk about and go deeper even. I mean, I love the depth of these conversations that we're having. And
I'd love to come back, and it'd be great. Like, I'd love to talk to you, like, even after like the birth, which is going to be coming up soon, and, you know, just like what new perceptions I'll have then from going through that initiation. Wow. And I think it's going to bring a lot of I just feel, I don't know exactly how it's all going to go, but I have a very good feeling about it. Like, I have a very I'm just really excited for what's coming through.
I'm feeling it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, folks, if you would like to reach out to Aisling, she's also found on Instagram. And I'll be posting all the links. You can find her on Facebook. She also has her own YouTube channel. Hopefully, we can see this on your channel. And
Yeah.
I've already subscribed. So if you'd like to visit her channel on VOUTUBE.com, that's her YouTube channel/UC3EVKRAGUAS56DJRUNQC dash VW/about. So I'm going to have to repost this because I see it's cut a little bit. So when I do this, you'll find all her links and all her threads to her YouTube channel, to her website. Go visit her website. It's a wealth of information, and nutrition is very important. This is where we start off, having this human experience that we need to eat. And this is how we ground ourselves. This is how we take in energy to fuel, and what we eat is very important. If it makes you hungry, then it's junk food. If it fills you and you feel energized by it, then this is the greens and the kale and everything that Aisling's been talking about, and you'll really feel it. It's like unlike any other synthetic drug you've ever felt. You start, having this cold pressed celery juice. Try it, you see, and you're gonna feel like, wow, man, I'm buzzing already, right? You're gonna feel the cleansing take over, and it's that cleansing that enlightens us and makes us feel lighter again, whereas the heavy toxins make us feel heavy and lethargic. And this is how it goes, and we don't want to take these synthetic processed foods because we will feel them like monosodium glutamate. It just makes everything plastic. And these refined sugars, you noticed, it just brings you right up and then brings you back down like a manic depressant. Whereas if you notice manuka, they're taking them off the shelves, manuka honey, and all the other dark kind of things, fruits and vegetables. Manuka honey happens to be one of the healthiest from the manuka flower. And right now you'd be looking at it for real concentrated manuka, pure manuka, like $10-$20 for a little.
I know. It's crazy.
Yeah. So invest in your health. It's very important. Invest in a juicer, invest in a blender, and have fresh fruits and vegetables as much as we can. I mean, the organic side of it, might be a little bit more if you'd like to go into that level of lifestyle. But yeah. So is there any last words you would like to say in closing?
Yeah, I mean, just, I suppose, whoever is listening to this and wherever you are on your journey, just to know that like where you are is perfect, and just to relax into the process and to be kind and compassionate to yourself as you make that transition, and seek out support. That's what I've been doing since the very beginning, and having the right type of people around you to cultivate healthy habits and the way in which you want to live. So whether that's through creating a new business or whatever you want to be creating, just surround yourself with people that are going to elevate you and support you, and have those boundaries with people and activities and foods. Cut out the things that are going to deplete you, and just align yourself with regeneration and trusting in your own self, trusting in source and trusting in the unknown, so that you can create exactly the life that you're here to bring through. And I look forward to connecting with you. Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been a total pleasure.
It's been an honor. Hello, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, that was so much fun. I don't know, I might have gone well over an hour.
Not too much. It's fine.
So now I don't have to worry about it. I can move around all I want.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Oh,
that's cool.
wow.
You have you have actually the green screen behind you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
That's
you know,
cool.
I've known you like now for 7 years from Elmine.
Yeah.
I think it was ascension.com and, you know,
Oh
and
yeah.
her circles. And I've
Yeah.
never really got to know you. I know I joined your group, Energy